leave. I'm joined right now by Pennsylvania Democratic Congressman Matt Cartwright, co-chair of the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. Congressman, thank you for coming, letting us go to your district a couple weeks ago for our town meeting, the deciders. We met a lot of interesting people. Now, let me ask you, you're an interesting guy. Where are you on impeachment? Go or not go?
Oh, I think I speak for the entire Democratic House leadership team, Chris, when I said we're going to do something reasonable and sensible and measured. We're not going to rush headlong into anything. And you heard it yourself right there in Wilkes-Barre, where you did a town hall. People were not talking about impeachment. They were talking about the kitchen table issues that affect them and their families in their daily lives. And that's what the Democrats have been focused on. So health care. We passed out of the House Bill 987 to make generic drugs cheaper and easier to acquire. We passed also as part of that bill, it outlaws junk insurance plans. This is what people at home are talking about. I realize impeachment is, interesting and flashy, and it's the bright, shiny object, but we focus on what's important to the people at home, Chris, and you heard that in Wilkes-Barre.
There are 60 Democrats in the House who want impeachment to begin right now. Are you one of the 60?
No, and here's the thing. The playbook has been laid out. If you want to bollocks up an impeachment, if you want to get it wrong, we saw them do that in the late 1990s. They got ahead of public sentiment. They got ahead of what the evidence showed, and they went ahead and they impeached Bill Clinton, and they paid for that for a generation. It created MoveOn.org. Let's move on from Bill Clinton's private life. And Republicans paid dearly for that for a generation. Why would you want to go down that same path?
If you were a judge and not an elected official, if you were a judge and looked at this case and looked at the Mueller report and what it said about obstruction, would you see an impeachable offense there?
Well, the question is whether you'd find an indictable offense, and you very well might. And I think that's the point of these hearings now, Chris, is not to dramatize things. It's just to get them out. I mean, you can't expect regular people at home to read through the 400-page Mueller report. It's really the job of the House to get the information out, and so people at home can weigh it and think about it and chew on it and decide where they're at on it.
Would you be able to live with it as an elected official representing your community up there in northeastern Pennsylvania? Would you be able to live with it if Trump got away with all this?
As long as we do our job.
No, if he got away with it. If he gets away with it.
Well, it's like saying Bill Clinton got away with something. I mean, it's about what public sentiment will put up with. And if Trump did something that the public is fully informed of, that we do our job, our Article 1 requirements of keeping a check on the executive branch, if we get the facts out so everybody knows that what the facts are and they still think it's okay, then that's what we do. We don't impeach, and we just let the voters decide at the ballot box.
Do you think the leadership of which part of the Democratic Party in the House is delaying a vote or proceedings on impeachment, or you're crossing it off as a possibility? Which is it?
I don't think either is true. I think that's a false choice, Chris. I think what we're doing is we're being deliberate about it. Okay. We're getting the facts out, and we're going to see if the American people want us to go down that path. And I think that is the responsible, that's the sensible, that is the measured thing to do in this case.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Congressman. I will make to you the same gentleman's bet, no money involved, that the House will not impeach this president at any time during this Congress through next year. They will not impeach. It will not happen. And all of this is interesting.
Thanks for coming to Wilkes-Barre.
Well, I enjoyed
it.
I like being in Wilkes-Barre, and people were great, and they know how to argue, and they know what they care about, and they said, stop looking down on us and stop taking us for granted. We're real people, as important as anybody in a big city. Get your act together. It was wonderful.
That was the most important thing that you brought out, that people think politicians look down on them, and it's so important that we pay attention to that.
And they were really nice people. Thank you so much. You're lucky to have those great people up there to represent. Thank you, U.S. Congressman Matt Cartwright of Pennsylvania. Up next, Donald Trump admits he's not acting presidential, but of course he can't